And hello, welcome to the Pain Podcast presented by the Scientific. My name is Bart van Buchem. I'm a pain specialist physiotherapist, and with me is my friend Tim Beams, founder of the Scientific. And thank you for listening again, hanging in with us just before holidays. And that's brought us to the topic of the day, and that's why it might be important to have a break from therapy, and it might be beneficial. So we just discussed a bit of the experience of a patient that you recently seen, Tim, and maybe that's a good start. Let's start with that little story that
Kick off in there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a topic that I have that I cover with many people actually, but just this one example is someone I've been seeing for some time. He's working so hard, he's doing absolutely everything he possibly can. He can do more. He puts so much effort into his own treatment and well-being. So he has multiple appointments that he has to honor as well that are happening very regularly over a period of time. And he finally gave himself permission to have a break a couple of weeks back, and really noticed how, not that something like it was a miraculous recovery, which would have been lovely. We love a miraculous recovery, don't we? But that things, it was so remarkable how different just having a break and having some time away, and being able to. I'm just trying to remember what he was saying, but just putting things out of your mind, just letting go of things, of parking stuff, parking appointments, parking conversations, not feeling the need to answer emails. I just think for some of the more complex, persisting pains, and if we look at the research around it, I mean, Lorimer, for instance, is research on GMI and CRPS. The people who routinely do a lot better are the people who manage to perform at least 10 self-treatments per day, which is a phenomenal amount, isn't it? But there's a sort of pressure that comes with that. So hearing that, oh wow, I have to do this much, I have to be so productive with my self-treatment in order for me to have the best chance possible to recover is a challenge in itself. Given that there will be people who buy into that, I feel that it's also important to recognize the need to take the foot off the gas and have some rest as well in your life, and have some downtime, and be able to be inactive, and that is okay as well.
That's really interesting because it happens anyway at this stage, right? It's gonna happen during holidays. Many people take a few weeks off, and not every patient might be rescheduled with a different therapist over the time. You just have to let go for a bit. So regardless, and I think it's sort of an opportunity to check out. And I'm pretty sure that when you see people for a long time, sometimes it feels like a bit of breathing area and breathing space as a therapist as well. And for your patients, it's quite interesting how their mind has gone. So always feel like a little bit of a new start. Like the break also creates a bit of a let's see how this goes and how you might go about this, and start evaluating. Like, and I think it's an important moment, to be honest. Like before holidays and after holidays, it's like really getting into the details of self-management, getting into the details of what if, and if this works out really well, what then?
Yeah.
And I can't help myself feeling like if that works out well, then that's a good sign, and it might also be a sign of sort of reducing the frequency a bit. And again, I feel like it's interesting if it's empowering patients is if that is what we do, then a break during the holiday, and if that works out pretty nicely, is definitely like a goal or an objective on its own. Let's see how you go. And it's such a nice thing as people come back and they allow themselves to have that break and feel comfortable with that. And even though not all the time, but it's like they've been able to manage themselves pretty well, being able to sort of implement the strategies and being able to manage their flare-ups if that's a thing, or finding being in a different surrounding. So that's another thing, being in a totally different environment as a very interesting, at least as an opportunity to challenge yourself, but also to explore what it actually means to be not in the same space, same routine every day. And I think that your patient has referred to that, gone fishing,
Yeah.
being a fully totally different environment
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was.
Exactly. Yeah. And he was saying, doesn't matter about catching the fish.
No.
It's
So how
just,
do you discuss that, Tim?
yeah.
So I think this is, like you said, it's an opportunity, but that made me think how you discuss how is this and how could this be a topic for the session after the break? How would you go about that?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, that's yeah. I mean, this is what we're reflecting on. I want to sort of come back a tiny bit just to clarify some things because I think like a break, downtime or taking your foot off the gas or whatever, there are ways of doing that in the day, as one might do if you're at work, that you want a bit of downtime after work, or you might have I diary a little bit of time in my working day as well to have a bit of downtime, down a bit of rest, and to do something that's healthy for me. Um, and that's relatively easy to schedule in. In your working life, you typically might have days off, like a weekend, for instance, unless you're a weekend worker, in which case you might shift things around, and that might diary into your working pattern. It's different when you got kids because it doesn't always feel like you've had downtime, but at least you're doing something different. Holidays, on the other hand, are more difficult to factor in. It's not, you can't live your life on holiday, can you? But the importance of, like you said, break of scenery, somewhere different, environmentally, time immersing yourself in your family, is just so enriching. And then recognizing that, and coming back to your question, recognizing the importance of that afterwards, hopefully that means that you can start planning that into, and seeing the need to plan that into your routine or your schedule going forward. So perhaps in the next, 3 months or 6 months that I do regularly plan breaks and time off into my schedule.
It will be I reckon there will be the very classic cognitive behavioral therapeutic approach, right? Reflecting on what happened, what actually went well, and what should you take from it so you can learn.
Yeah.
So what if we take this from a little different perspective? Like, say, you're in a different, like, say, consciousness. So this is about embodiment, for example. And because I do have patients that tell me, actually, after the holiday, I can't walk for an hour, but I can doing that through the mountains, for example. So it's pretty flat over here in Holland, as you know. But people seem to sort of feel like that they can do a lot more, and they seem to do very, very well. When it comes down to being somewhere else, it's not always like that, but I find it really interesting. It's the whole mindset that seemed to change. Their whole experience of how their body feels is different. They're not the rushing, and I just can't get away with the feeling that that's not just because you do something different. That's not just distractive. It's not just happy feeling. I really feel strongly about that. This is something much bigger. This is how you experience your body at that stage, at that time, and it's different. And I do discuss this with my patients. So what is it? If, otherwise, we will only check out, oh, I should go live in the mountains, right? So
Yeah.
it will be very, it's not very helpful to get, because it will be very, I would say, um, the let's say the reflection would end up with things you should do. And maybe I'm not always sure if that's the direction you should take in this conversation of understanding how the body works, also allow us to understand what consciousness, how that works, and being somewhere else in a holiday environment, if you like, or with, say, people you love and carry different surrounding, that brings you maybe to a very, because everything is different, because the wine tastes different in France. Take the bottle home, it's rubbish. It's not going to taste as good as it was. And it's not just the temperature or the whatever reason you give it. It's more than that. How, any thoughts on that? Because you're pretty interested in embodiment and these
Well,
presence and
you say
consciousness.
wine.
Yeah. So why does the wine taste better in France on the
Yeah,
holiday instead of home? Then why does your body feels different in your holiday,
yeah,
if that's the case?
yeah, totally. I mean, sort of what you, I think, reflecting on is the experiential nature of things in that moment of being on holiday or having a break, of how is it that you truly feel, what is it like to be you in that moment? And there are many different elements of what make that up. And that ability to be able to drop into yourself is a skill, and it's something that we can work on as well. So it is something very deliberate that I spend time with my patients on, is that ability to drop in, notice, reflect, or if you can't in that moment, at least be able to look back and notice and then bring to mind how things felt as well, and re-experience. So I'm quite keen on that, the ability to bring forth, not that you're re-experiencing the same, but you're creating an experience that is as like it was by looking back and remembering or picturing or bringing to mind, or whatever it was. Even like if you think about looking at your holiday snaps afterwards, you'll have a couple that will just make you grin, won't they? They'll just make you feel good, and there's a moment just right there that with your patients you can say, wow, look at the power, let's spend a bit of time here. And where do you feel that now? Looking at that photo, or thinking about that night that you had, or the music that you were listening to. And hey, and whilst we're talking about this, I don't know why, but something's just jumped into my head. But I spent quite a long time looking at the literature around environmental enrichment years ago. I mean, like, I don't know, 15 plus years ago. In fact, it would have been something like that, because it was one of the first Neu Group conferences, the NNN conferences. And there's a massive body of work in basically rearing animals in different environments. One being an enriched environment where you give animals the opportunity to be able to play and exercise and be able to move around and interact with things with other animals in varied ways, and then the sort of the non-enriched state, the sort of the grey zone, there's not much there, and there is quite compelling evidence that enriched state is massively beneficial for health and well-being and problem solving, and I think, an element of that is important in rehabilitation, is if you want providing newness and opportunities and challenges adventure and exploration, and then all of those things that, done in a way where you're in control of it as well, that is enriching to self in those moments. And holidays are the perfect opportunity to do that, aren't they? To try, I don't know, windsurfing for the first time, or net climbing, or walking somewhere new. And there's something, you're talking about, but I'm just thinking of those evocative experiences where you're walking in a new country, and perhaps you've got different smells, and you've got different colors, and you've got different sounds, and it's just like that is so enriching as well to self.
Yeah, so it does this also sort of ties into to create change or to push change, you need to change the context, and you have to be aware of that. So there needs to be a certain amount of energy that goes into attention of knowing you're there. So that will be my originally my intuitive feeling. Like if there might be times you do pretty well on holiday, maybe just because you're not feeling you have to do anything, whatever the reason is, but just pay attention, look around, smell, taste, touch, feel it, and see what it is. Draw it, whatever. I feel pretty. I think that's where therapy makes impact, right? And these times of holidays could be a nice. This break allows people to actually spend some time on the process of feeling different, and making impact. I recently it was quite nice with having Andrea Hevers in our science session, and she basically said something very similar. People have if you want to flip the side to like positive engagement in movement or whatever the type of experience is, you have to create a context that actually will embed it, will sort of reinforcing it, because otherwise it will be just another, let's say, a moment, and it has to be something salient. You have to sort of, it's like when you're on that, if you're on that very specific area, you have to look around, just take it all in, suck in the environment as much as you can to make it work like that. So that will be a quite interesting way to go, I think, and I love it to work like that.
Yeah, and that's that, and then doing that. I mean, not that you should expect things to suddenly be different and better, but it certainly opens up the opportunity that might be the case, doesn't it? There's a possibility that you being able to mindfully tune into a different environment is actually it's giving you clues. There's some possibilities then to take away with you, to say, not just could I give myself other opportunities in the future, but what was it of those moments that I can bring back into my daily life that I might be able to do? Okay. Maybe it is that, we keep coming back to that wine, maybe it is that, orange wine that you found, and you suddenly got a taste for sangria, or I don't know what it was.
I hate sangria, but not in Spain.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, like coming back to the topic that we were talking about is that giving yourself a break, giving yourself permission, though, I think is a big thing, isn't it? And and we are obviously talking about this. This is middle of July. Both of us going to have a little bit of downtime, and when you work for yourself, it is a difficult thing, actually, isn't it? Just to give yourself permission, let go, and say it's okay to not be working. And I feel like that is true for many of my patients as well. That an attribute for recovery is often the ability to be able to commit and follow through with your actions. And therefore, when you're seeing the notion of a break being suggested, like that might be quite a challenge for some people, mightn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So that I think we kind of summarizing that the break is a sort of an opportunity, right? It's just different ways of perspective, reflecting on it, allowing people sort of to explore and play a bit.
Yeah.
And as a part of from the therapeutic approach, I think a break should be part of it.
Yeah.
Having a therapeutic break is as equally important as pushing on with therapy, if you like, and to see what's happening. And some people do much better without therapy. I think that's a realization of to re-evaluate and reflecting on therapeutic effectiveness, whether sometimes people just need that little bit and then they're better off having not seen you for a while and then just checking in again. I guess that's the flexibility that you need to sort of explore yourself. And then, well, the summer break is an excellent opportunity for yourself, but also for your patients, just to see what's happening and bring that on with a little bit of guiding, I guess, through the holidays. Some people find it a bit frightening. So can I do this? Well, give them some backup, and you have to go through it anyway. But hopefully they will sort of see that as an opportunity as well. Yeah.
That's it. I really love that. I mean, but it goes against, many of the sort of patriarchal medical beliefs, doesn't it? But it'll say, hang on, I should be the one who's keeping on seeing this person, and I'm going to be the one that fixes them. And suddenly,
it's very exactly. I think it was. There's recently a podcast with Morten Hoek, one of our friends of Le Pop, and he spoke with Peter O'Sullivan, and I think it was on the Maniotherapy iFont in Basel recently, only a couple of weeks ago, and what I kind of like, and I think we rephrased that by putting the patient in the driver's seat, and we're very used to basically sit in the driver's seat ourselves as a therapist. And I think that the putting the person or the patient in the driver's seat, allow them to drive themselves and just help them, so whatever guiding them through this break equals that, because you have to do it. You won't go on a holiday with your patients, so they have to sit on the driver's seat again. And that can be frightening for some people. But again, equally, it's an opportunity.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Yeah, and then perhaps that analogy is that we are someone who is an occasional passenger that they picks up and takes with them for a short part of that journey as well. And brilliant, isn't it? Because then they're the advocate for self and for well-being and for their progression as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think we're running out of time, Tim. People are getting bored now, so we have to stop.
What are you talking about? No, we're talking about holidays and wine.
Yeah. Enjoy yourself. No, we're not. No, we're looking after you guys. Having a bit of a chit chat on our podcast, and hopefully this was helpful and relevant to your work. In a couple of weeks' time, we're gonna have a little bit of a fun meeting with the pub team in Amsterdam. IS World Conference on Pain. We'll be there from the 5th to the 8th or 9th of August, which is in the middle of the holiday, but we'll be there hanging out on the Tuesday night, the 6th of August. We're at a bar, or let's say a brewery actually, where we're gonna do the amazing pub quiz. The pain pub quiz. Only fun people are allowed in, and we'll get you there in the notes. There will be a link. So if you're around in Amsterdam, so you don't have to be a attendant at the conference if you want to join this. There will be lots of people who attend. So we've got like a couple dozen of people have signed up. A couple of Aussies. Probably hiding from wintertime on that side of the world. Some Brits, Italians, French. So there's going to be a very international flavor and a bit of fun. And we're looking forward to meet. If you can't make it next time, I guess, wherever we are. So looking forward, certainly. We're also going to have a break, but we're going to meet in a couple of weeks' time in Amsterdam. Spending some time over there and having fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, looking forward.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, and don't forget to tell everybody about the podcast if you enjoy it, share it. I hope it's been helpful. And So you
Yes, absolutely. Feel free to share it. Don't forget this like button or put it on your streaming favorites for streaming service so you will be mentioned first once a new episode is out. So thank you for listening and catch you later.